Hey y'all, welcome back to Rima Reads. So today I'm gonna talk about my January TBR, and it's kind of wild to think about because I still have so many books I need to read in December to finish my shelf space reindeer games readathon. Still need to read a couple books, but we're gonna start and think about the future of 2021, January, and talk about my TBR for then. So I decided to have a kind of more light TBR in January, full of a lot of rereads, because I am very much a mood reader, and I feel like this month, December, has been very structured on the books that I've read, because there were like things I wanted to finish up before the end of the year, and with this readathon of reading all 12 books, I felt like I was very like must read all the time. And usually I am more a mood reader and read whatever I'm feeling at the moment. And so for January, I've kind of given myself a little bit of leeway on the books that I'm going to read, and it includes a lot of rereads. So I am very excited because I love rereading books. I reread books like crazy. So I plan on rereading Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson in December before the end of the year, so I could get them good points for my readathon. But if I don't finish that, that will be the first book I'll continue reading in 2021, because like since the minute I put down Rhythm of War, I have been wanting to reread it. I kind of forced myself not to, but I really want to. And so that will be the first book that I am planning on rereading in 2021 if I don't get to it in 2020. The next book I want to reread is City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. This book takes place in this like fantasy land where there were gods in power and they have since been killed. And so this land of Volkova, something, it's like I think Russian inspired world has been taken over and kind of colonialized by Indian-inspired fantasy world. Our main character, Shahara, comes from India fantasy land area, and she to investigate a murder that occurs in this land. And honestly, I read this book 2 or 3 years ago, and that summary that I just said is how much I remember about this book. I know I gave it 4 stars, and I know I liked it, and that's all I remember, but this book is the Shelf Spaces book club pick for this month, so I thought it's the perfect time to reread it, and I really love Robert Jackson Bennett, so I'm very excited to reread this book because I do not remember very much. So the next books I want to reread are the Graceling Realms series by Christine Cashore. So the first book is Graceling. So it takes place in this world where people with 2 different eye colors are called Gracelings, and they have a power, and this power can be different between every single person, every single Graceling. So like one person could just have like the power to like cook really well, and someone can have the power to like fly. So it's very varied in terms of what power you get with your 2 different eye colors. Some of them could be useless, some of them could be super useful sort of thing. And our main character in this book is Katsa, and she has the grace of killing. And so she is the niece of a king in one of the many countries in this land. And she's basically used by her uncle, the king, to be kind of his like hired thug. So like he sends her to deal with, anyone who's not obeying his rule. Katsa's not really a biggest fan of this arrangement, so she starts like this secret underground organization to help people. And so the book starts off with her saving Grandpa Tea Leaf, who is the father of a king from a different country. And then the plot moves on from there in terms of Katsa figuring out what the reason behind this guy's kidnapping is, and her trying to free herself from her uncle. And I really love this book. Graceling I read back in middle school, and it changed me so much. It's a very, very feminist book, and I think it was one of the first books that I read that like talked about certain topics. Like they talk about, you know, menstrual cycles and sex. It's just like a very feminist book that I loved so, so much. I also read it around the same time I read The Hunger Games, and it's really funny because the main character of this book is Katsa, and she has like a love interest called Poe, and then like the love interest called Gideon, and then in Hunger Games, like Katniss and Peeta and Gale, and so I always thought that was fun. So I equate these two books a lot in my life because I read them around the same time, and they both had very similar impacts on me personally. I think it talks a lot about feminism and like what it is to be a monster and be a good person, and Poe, who is the love interest, oh, is so good. He like chugs that respect women juice all day, all night. Love Poe. And so I'm going to reread Graceling this month. The next book in the series is Fire. So this book takes place in the same world as Graceling, but in a different land, and it also takes place years before Graceling. And in this land, there are monster versions of regular creatures. So, for example, you could have like a regular rat and it's just a rat, and then you'd have a monster rat. And the rat, like the monster rat, would be brightly colored, gorgeous, and like be able to kind of like control minds. And so Fire is our main character, and she is the last remaining monster human. So she's like real gorgeous and can control people's minds, and she struggles with being the last monster. And her life starts to change when the brother of the king asks for her help in unfoiling this plot, and she goes along with them to stop this plot to murder the king. And she goes along and tries to help and gets involved in an adventure. This book also very, very feminist. I know there's like a white girl on the cover, but Fire is a black bisexual lead, so there's that. Again, I think this has similar themes to Graceling in terms of like what it is to be a monster and have all this power over people. But the thing is, like, Katsa in Graceling and Fire are such completely different characters with different worldviews, and they're just so fully realized. And I really enjoy Fire a lot, so I'm going to reread this book. And then the third book in the Graceling Realms series is Bitter Blue. This one is more of a direct sequel to Graceling. The main character in this is Bitter Blue, and the events from this book are like directly correlated to the events that happen in Graceling. So while the other two are more like companion series where you could read them separately, I would really suggest you read Graceling before you read Bitter Blue. And I don't want to like talk too much about what happens in this book because I don't want to give away spoilers, but I also really like this one. Again, another great female lead. And then once those books are done with my reread, I am so excited to read Winterkeep, which is the fourth Graceling novel that is coming out on January 19th. This book is apparently also a direct sequel to Bitter Blue, and it has Bitter Blue as one of the main characters, as well as a few other points of view. And I'm just so excited to get back into this world. I really love Christine Cashore's writing and her characters, and these books meant a lot to me when I was a child, and I still love them today. I've reread them a couple times. I've reread them like a decent amount of times, and they still hold up today. And so I'm excited to reread all three books and then read Winterkeep this month. So the next book I want to read in January is Doing Harm: The Truth About How Bad Medicine and Lazy Science Leads Women to Be Dismissed, Misdiagnosed, and Sick. This is a book I am reading with a few folks from my workplace as part of a book club, and I feel like the title of this book is pretty self-explanatory. It talks about women and how the medical system can fail them, as a lot of medical research are focused on men. So I'm very excited to finish up this book in January for my book club. And that leaves all of the books that I am 100% going to get to in the month of January. And I have a couple of books on hold from the library that may or may not be available in January. So I want to leave enough time to read those as well. So that's my real quick January TBR. Really, I'm just so excited to read the Graceling books. I can't wait till Winter Keep comes out. I love rereading books. They're so much fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what books you are reading in January. There are so many good ones coming out. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching, and talk to you in the new year. Yeah, bye.